We don't need to guess how much electricity Bitcoin mining uses by observing it. The answer comes straight from math. Bitcoin is completely transparent. We've got this thing called the hash rate, which shows in real time how many calculations are being performed to mine Bitcoin. Combine that with the efficiency stats of mining rigs, and you get a clear picture of how many machines are running and how much power they're consuming. Figuring out the exact cost of that electricity is tricky because it varies by country. Now, Bitcoin has a dual nature. Its ability to move across borders freely is incredibly useful for ordinary people, but it can also be misused by criminals. Similarly, Bitcoin's volatility benefits both speculators and long-term investors. It's like a double-edged sword, capable of being used for good or evil. But there's one part of Bitcoin that is undeniably beneficial, no matter how you feel about it: the way it uses electricity for mining. Yes, Bitcoin consumes electricity. And believe it or not, that's a huge plus for humanity. Now, does that sound strange to you? Most people think the opposite. Even Bitcoin supporters often say, Bitcoin has its pros and cons, but the energy use is a necessary evil. But that's because they don't get how the energy industry really works. Let me ask you something. When does solar power generate electricity? During the day, right? But when do people use the most power? At night, especially at home. Now imagine trying to run heavy industry on solar. That would be a disaster. Imagine a semiconductor plant like Samsung's running only on solar power. A cloud rolls in and the whole production grinds to a halt. That would ruin the economy. Big industries need stable, uninterrupted energy sources. Solar energy can supplement household electricity needs, such as watching TV, running air conditioning, and powering home lighting. But the problem is, people use most of their household electricity at night, while solar energy can only be generated during the day. How do we solve this energy paradox? Batteries, right? Store the power. But here's another problem. Batteries aren't that great at storing electricity efficiently. Elon Musk's Tesla, now that's a smart way to use stored electricity. You charge your car when demand is low, then use that stored energy to drive whenever you need. That works. But storing electricity for later use? That's highly inefficient. Many physicists have crunched the numbers, and from an energy efficiency perspective, it just doesn't add up most of the time. So what's the solution? The answer is simple. Mine Bitcoin with excess solar power during the day. Then at night, sell that Bitcoin to offer cheaper electricity for everyone else. Now, how does this help power plants? How can they use surplus energy when demand is low and still keep things running smoothly during peak hours? Humanity has already figured this out. It's called finance. Storing electricity for a few hours is a technological challenge, but storing summer's power for winter, that's a pipe dream. No technology can do that yet. So what bridges the gap? Finance. Finance moves value from where there's extra to where it's needed. Think about it. You might think you're just saving money for yourself. But zoom out globally. Someone is always producing and someone is always consuming. It's just the players that shift. Electricity works the same way. Now, here's the key insight. Bitcoin mining isn't tied to any specific location. Sure, colder places are better, but it works in hot climates too. What if it's too warm? Just use some of the mined Bitcoin to run air conditioning. Everything can be converted into electricity. It's just a matter of efficiency. Bitcoin mining can happen anywhere, from the equator to the Arctic, and not every power plant has to mine Bitcoin all at once. They just use their excess electricity for it. Picture this. You're eating dinner, watching TV, running air conditioning, hanging out with family, say 7 to 9 p.m. That's peak demand. But the Earth is round, so that peak slides across time zones. What do? Reduce mining during those hours and increase it when demand is low, like 1 to 6 p.m. when surplus solar power is available. This way, power plants mine Bitcoin during the day when electricity is cheap. They sell it and use the profits to provide cheaper electricity at night. Citizens enjoy lower energy costs. Power plants improve operational efficiency and avoid financial losses. The global Bitcoin network grows without disrupting energy supplies. Isn't that fantastic? But wait, you might wonder, who's running all of this? Is there some kind of Bitcoin energy pope overseeing it all? No. The market sorts it out through pricing. Private companies optimize Bitcoin mining efficiency because they want to profit. What do miners care about? Expensive electricity? No. They always seek the cheapest electricity. So do they mine during peak hours? No. They naturally mine when electricity is cheapest, when there's surplus. Nobody needs to regulate this. Bitcoin miners will figure it out themselves. That's the power of free markets. Bitcoin mining isn't like digging for gold, where more efforts mean more gold. It's part of a global economic system. That's why it works anywhere. And I'm not worried about its environmental impact, because this is how it will naturally evolve. Why? Because of market forces. People don't mine Bitcoin because it's good for the environment. They do it because it's profitable. Take North America, for example. Hydroelectric dams used to power aluminum smelting. But when those companies moved out, the whole towns were devastated. Now, Bitcoin miners are moving in because hydroelectric power is still there. If those factories shut down, does the water stop flowing? Should they tear down the power plants? What happens to all that electricity? Power a few TVs? The electricity that once powered aluminum smelting, that massive amount of energy, what happens when it's just used for old folks watching TV? There's too much left over. So what's the plan for it? You can't store it. Batteries don't work efficiently at that scale. So who do you think will show up? Bitcoin miners. They say, we'll use the electricity and you pay for it. And what happens next? That money keeps the plant running, pays taxes, funds schools and public services. No matter how much central governments or academics criticize Bitcoin, this is the reality on the ground. From a local government's perspective, or from a mayor's point of view, the question is simple. Why not? Why should we turn away Bitcoin miners? Their hydroelectric dam is still generating electricity, and then these Bitcoin miners show up, offering to pay for it. So why send them away? Because of environmental concerns? Just because Bitcoin is evil? Nobody on the ground thinks that way. And these miners will always seek out cheap electricity. What happens to power around the world? All the excess electricity gets redirected to Bitcoin mining. And what happens next? Energy prices start to equalize worldwide. Now, if Bitcoin had no value, we wouldn't even be talking about this. No one would care if it destroyed the environment, because who'd bother mining it if it was worthless? All of this only happens because Bitcoin has value. And that's a good thing. Why? Because that value makes power plants run more efficiently. Nothing goes to waste. And ordinary people, who couldn't care about Bitcoin at all, end up with cheaper electricity. Plants operate more efficiently. Simple as that. This is how humanity optimizes its energy use. Bitcoin buys us more time to figure out better nuclear technology, time to improve solar efficiency, and time to transition to better energy solutions. It really gives us time by using energy that would otherwise be wasted. How incredible is that? And yet people still curse this amazing feature of Bitcoin. They fail to see how its mining process, with its flexibility in location and time, is actually a blessing for energy systems. Instead, they demonize it. People tend to view things through ideology or morality, but that has real limits. You need to understand how things actually work. The world is not black and white. It cannot be reduced to simple labels like environmentally harmful or environmentally friendly. It's way more complex than that. I hope you now see it more clearly. Thank you.